Okay, it's 9 May and may have been a minute since I did a descriptive video, but the horizontal stabilator at the back of the building here, workshop, is done. It's sort of standing upright on the table. Vertical stabilizer is sitting on the floor there. That's done. It's upside down, and the rudder also upside down attached to the back of that. And I've spent the last couple weeks, well, I had some sick time, but last couple weeks, apart from that, prepping for section 10, which is the tailcone. So this is sort of the intro page with an overview, and it'll of course be this portion of the airplane from here to about here. It's about a 9-foot section, and with the prep took a long time because of a couple of factors. All these flat skins, you may not, so it's hard to see how many there are, but turns out there are 9 of them. Each one's about 9 feet long, and for example, each one is different, really. This one is the top skin. This one is one of the right skins, each numbered. And the prep is fairly extensive. They're each about 9 feet long. There's another 3 pieces over here. 4, 3, I think. So 3 pieces over here. 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the prep's fairly extensive because, first of all, surprisingly, it takes a bit of time to strip the blue vinyl completely off of one side, the inside of the tail cone, and then at least around the rivet holes on the outside where the remaining blue vinyl sort of acts as a scratch protectant. So blue vinyl still remains on the outside. I sort of use a soldering gun, as folks have, with a gentle touch to sort of just cut through the vinyl and peel it away. Heat gun helps also. Anyway, so that prep takes a surprising amount of time, just the blue vinyl. But of course, the real work is in all of the edge deburring. So all of these long edges have to be deburred, and at least one side of the holes, there are, say 300 holes per skin where they were punched or drilled through, and so the starting side, the top side of the hole, is generally perfectly smooth, but the back side usually has just a little bit of a burr, and so all of that deburring takes quite a bit of time. All the edge deburring was really sort of a challenge. A lot of edges, 2 edges in it, so it's at least 18 long edges, where the technique for the most part for the edges is to use this edge deburring tool and sort of draw it along the material, draw it along the edge of the material. It's sort of hard to show here, but sort of removing the burr. Hard to demonstrate. I only got 2 hands here, but you can hear a little bit, and you can probably see a little bit of the burr there coming off. Anyway, this scrap piece that I've been doing some other practice on, really. Also prepping all the ribs and brackets, supports, same deburring. Also wanted to diagram out the layout of these 9 pieces. So it'll, the instructions will include step by step what's to be done, but I really wanted to make sure I understood the orientation of each of the pieces. So this is the top. This is the left hand side as if you were sitting in the airplane pointed this way. So this would be the pilot's left hand side, sitting in the large opening, sitting in front of the tail cone, facing this way. And each of the pieces, not every one, I guess some will have 2 and the top one has none, but all the others have a flange bent into it that's a stiffener, a J stiffener that runs the length of the piece in general, most of it, and does just what it sounds like. It's not riveted itself, the stiffener, but the bend creates resistance against, I guess, twist and deformation. So, because this piece, the flat piece with no, the top with no J channel, is pretty floppy, as are a lot of the ones with just one J channel, or where the J channel doesn't extend to a portion of it. Pretty thin stuff for the tail skin. Maybe strong, but it's pretty thin. Anyway, so quite a bit of prep there. The last little bit of remaining prep, I don't know if you can see on this practice piece of metal, the edges may appear to be sort of bent down or angled down. And that's on purpose. That's why it's a practice piece, because I'm using this edge rolling tool. You squeeze the metal in between there and roll along the edge. It's called breaking the edges. There's a specific set of edges that need to be broken that lays out in the instructions in on the first page here, where it's saying break this edge of this is the top skin, break both sides, although you're supposed to increase the break. And the purpose of the break is so that it will encourage, once the pieces have been riveted together, so actually this edge, top edge, well, actually it doesn't get riveted to the J channel, but rather rivet hole here sort of gets, let me find a little, so the rivet here will get riveted to the top. It'll be the holes here. And so this piece will tend to want to, when it gets that rivet, the end of it will tend to want to bend up, out in a way, leaving sort of a gap against the other piece of material. And so the purpose of that breaking or rolling the edge down is to provide just a tiny little bit of bend down, so that as you rivet about 1/4 inch in from the edge, that will flex down, this will flex, or sort of be held, even though it will flex up in a way, or it'll still be in contact with the other piece. So there's, but it's apparently sort of a tricky process to apply the right amount of break to the edges in a consistent way. So for example, this edge is going to need to be broken down away from the blue plastic. This edge is going to need to be broken, I believe, in the same direction as the J channel. So broken up that way. And the break actually increases from beginning about here towards the back of the tail cone. Anyway, that's what's next on the agenda. And of course, there's a bulkhead, a whole bunch of bulkhead pieces that are going to be involved in this. The bulkhead of the Tailcone. A lot of assembly and prep left there, but that's really the last pile of pieces that needs to be prepped. And that's coming up in this Tailcone section. The rest of it are just odds and ends. There's the actuator motor, I think, in here for the trim. It gets inserted, some of the wiring for that. Looks like piece of static line, some brackets. I don't recall what that's going to be for. But those are the handful of pieces that remain. And so I think on the Tailcone itself, what I'll end up with after the Tailcone, you can see a little bit of the bulkhead at the back of the picture there. There's a fair amount of assembly or build up for that bulkhead piece, including like a very specific rivet pattern. And like here you can see on the bulkhead itself, it calls for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different kinds of rivets on the surface of the bulkhead, with a little symbology for what rivet goes where and holding what brackets in, and as that doubler piece that sits on top of it. So there's going to be some assembly there on section 10, and then section 11 will be the attachment of all the pieces. So after section 10, the Tailcone will sort of be assembled. And my thought is, and I've read up a little bit, it sounds like you can postpone attachment. I'm hoping that'll free up a little shop space so that as that Tailcone's assembled, I'll probably just try to hoist it up, store it alongside of a wall. Horizontal stabilator is fine in the back there. Let me try to find a better solution for I may attach the vertical stabilator. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens here. I don't want to defer too much and risk missing steps. But yeah, so anyhow, that's what's next. So